Hey guys, welcome to Ticks and Measures Key. My name is Ugo. Your name is Blessed. I hope you're doing well. Hope you're having a good day, morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night if you're about to go to bed. But hopefully we're serenading you. Today I'm talking about how to dramatically increase your credit score. And funnily enough, I'm going to do this almost like a live experiment. So, basically, I have a very poor credit score as it stands right now. I know. Oh my days, Ugo. How can you, of all people, have a very low credit score? Well, very
Storybox
poor.
Audio.
Let's log it into my Experian app. Got a notification today, and yes, it says, I don't know if you see it clearly, that is 454.
Storybox Audio.
Very, very poor. Now, my point in doing this video more so is just to kind of show you guys over the course of the next couple of months of how you can increase your credit score, and that yes, it may be very poor right now, but as you can see, I'm not worried. All of this is from stress over the years. It is what it is. But but yeah, so 454 Experian credit score. Now obviously over the next couple of months, I'm going, I think it should take me about, let me say, 6-7 months. I'll come back to minimum good. Yeah, I'll say minimum good. So I'm filming this on 18th of February. Don't know when it will come out. Maybe like a week or two. But but basically it was March, April, May, June, July, August. Let's say September, October. Expect an update of how far did we get in about 6-7 months. Now, first and foremost, I know for a lot of people, I have a very poor credit score right now. Don't panic. Now, for a lot of you guys who have very poor credit scores right now, let me just let you guys know, we're going to talk about, what I'm going to do or what to do to increase your credit score. Also, reasons why my credit score has tanked so dramatically. And yeah, but to start off, when you have a low credit score, a very poor credit score, most people like to do things, pay companies for increasing their credit score, or pay all these things, especially if they have a lot of debts, in order to get their credit score sorted. Now, that isn't the smartest thing to do. Firstly, you shouldn't really be paying anybody in order to increase your credit score. The tips and tricks are already out there on how to increase your credit score and what to do, and obviously consistency over time will definitely get your credit score where you want it to be. Now, one of the other reasons why you shouldn't be using these companies that are going to write off your debt is because what most of them do, and even though they'll say legally you can get rid of this unsecured credit card or debt, is that what they do most times in terms of clearing your debt is that they will file bankruptcy under your name and claim money back, and then that could actually dramatically destroy your credit score in the long term or in the short term, or they can do some wizardry in that. The only ways that some of these companies can do in terms of helping increase your credit score is by doing stuff that is kind of already available, which is by using your regular income or regular expenses and posting that as a credit to your credit report to show positive credits, which is companies do, like Experian actually does with your Experian Boost. They'll look at your regular payments, direct debits and stuff like that. You can also have your rent through your rent. I forgot the name of the thing. I'll remember it and I'll put it in the comments. But you can also have your rents being posted into your credit score to provide good good credit history basically. And yeah, so that's essentially what you can do. They will now use that to provide good credit history for you. Now, for me and for yourselves, the ways to increase your credit score are pretty simple. And some of these things which I'm going to list, I have already done. And you see how things why some things will change in a minute. But one of the first things you should do is, if you have not registered to vote, you should register to vote. That's a very good thing. 2, make sure that across all your accounts, you have the same address, you have the same name, and then you go through your credit report to make sure that everything that is correct in terms of your number of accounts and all that kind of stuff. Now, I'm showing you particularly my Experian credit score. Now, my TransUnion credit score, actually, there was some mistakes in my credit report. They've all sorted it out, and actually my credit score when it comes to TransUnion is actually really good, and so there's a discrepancy in which I tell you that you actually have more than one credit score. So depending on who you're using, obviously you want to get it up across the board. Experian is the biggest, which is why people focus on Experian, but TransUnion and Clear and Equifax are equally big in their own rights, and depending on the bank or lender you're using, they will go to them. Now, it's a no-brainer that most times when there's two reasons why, well, there's actually a couple of reasons why your credit score can tank all the way down. Not I didn't, and I'll tell you the ones which I did. But so first thing, you've missed the payment. On-time payments account for up to 30% of your credit score. Now, if you're owing on your phone, on your credit card, on any of these things, never miss a payment. And now, if you've missed a payment, never miss another one again. If you're ever going to miss a payment, always call your phone bill, your phone provider, your credit card, whoever, to tell them that you can't make it, and then that you can make an arrangement. They can post it late, or you can now make a payment plan. So you never want to miss a payment, because that one brings your score down. Now, if you're missing multiple payments, your score tanks, because your credit score is kind of emotional. They're thinking that you're about to tank. So on-time payments, as we've said, is an important thing. So make sure you're making your payments on time. You should always be paying at least the minimum. If you miss any payment, that will dramatically weigh it down. It's almost like how a negative point of criticism affects us more than positive criticism or positive praise. You remember the person, out of 10,000 people shouting your name, you remember the person that insulted you more than you remember the people that were saying you were great. So that's how your credit score acts. Now, so make sure you never miss a payment. And if you've missed a payment, never miss it again. Call the bank to see if you can get it rectified. But 9 times out of 10, you can't get it rectified, because once they've posted it, it's out of your hand, unless you now have to go ahead and email or write a letter to the credit reference agency to get that corrected. Now, the next one, which is typically one of the main reasons why a lot of people have their credit score goes down, is because there is you're using a high utilization rate. So you have a high utilization, that means you're using over 50% of the available credit across your cards, in terms of your credit cards, and also in terms of using over your overdrafts, as well as having a lot of loans and stuff like that. So if you're having a high utilization rate, the easiest way for you to boost up your credit score is to make sure you never miss a payment, and to bring down your utilization rate. So pay it off. Paying off your debt will actually have the biggest impact on your credit score increasing. Now, the next one, which goes into like the other 10% in terms of your credit score, is about searches, inquiries, whatever people like to call them. So there's a soft search and there's a hard search, or soft inquiry and hard inquiry. Now, the soft ones don't make any difference to your account. Your soft ones are what's it called? People just peeking at your profile and not really doing much, and that's what happens when you do affordability checks. That's also what happens when you use like your Clear Score or TransUnion or Experian. They do a soft search on your credit score when you actually apply for credit via them, if they want to see if you're available X, Y, Z. Now, when they see whether you're eligible, as opposed to when you're applying. Now, when you actually apply and you go for a full application, then it will count as a hard search on your record and will now ping as a hard search in your record. Now, typically a hard search is not that bad. If you have, anytime you open a new bank account, a new application or anything like that, it does bring your score back a little bit before you send it off. It's almost like pulling an arrow. You draw it back before you now catapult. So having more accounts, and obviously the other aspect of your credit score is credit mix, does increase your credit score in the long term. But understand, when you having a credit mix, it will it will affect your credit score. Simple. But if you're having too many at the same time, so even if you do like stuff that doesn't necessarily in your case will feel like a hard search, is like maybe going for a phone contract, which they typically will always say yes, provided that you agree to the rate. And so that brings a hard search onto your what's it called, onto your credit reports. But also on top of the hard searches, especially if you have a multitude of applications that are either getting rejected, or you have a lot of accounts being added to your credit score, then it's like a lot of things happening. So if you have 5 phone bills added to your credit report, your credit report views it as, oh, this person's relying on a lot of debt. You have a lot of debt to your name, and it's happening a lot very quickly. And so, having 6 in the space of a month, you take a lot of hits. It brings it down. Now, also, what also changes your credit score is having a lot of changes to your credit having a lot of changes to your credit report. So if you're changing a lot of accounts, you're closing this account, you're adding this account, you're closing this account, you have 10 hard inquiries that have changed into 10 accounts being added to your credit score. It looks like there's a lot of credit being added to your name very quickly, and because of that, that will dramatically affect your credit report and your credit score, and will now drag it completely down. Now, obviously, if you combine having a lot of accounts added to your name, as well as maybe having high utilization, as well as maybe missing on-time payment because you're broke. So let's say if you're somewhat broke and then you are use maxing out your credit cards, you're missing payments, you've now started getting more credit cards, and then that's how they'll now feel like you are going down. So obviously, if for that case, in terms of adding new accounts, if you already added the new accounts, all you need to do is just don't apply for anything else. Let your account breathe. Let it just take a little deep breath. Understand, and let it like level out, so that it really is like hard metrics. In that if in your last 6 months, how many accounts have been added to your report. So if you let your account breathe for, let's say, 6 months with no accounts being added, then it should start to rebound, as well as if you're bringing the utilization down and you're paying off your debts. Now, if you pay off your debts, you will see the biggest increase on your credit report. Now, also, one of the reasons why your credit score may have gone down, and this one is actually a dramatic one, which you don't actually realize, is similar to what I said in the beginning about you registering to vote increases your credit score, and the longer you have it on your report will obviously affect it. Now, if you're someone who is changing address a lot, this will have a negative effect on your credit report, because you registering to vote makes the banks feel like they can verify your identity, one, and that you're stable, two. That's the same reason why if you add home phones like your landlines, 0208s, 0121s, 0161s, all of that to your to applications, it also seems more stable because they're connected by fiber and landlines. So it seems that you're stable and actually in a certain place. And so when you change address, especially after having it for a long time, it will drastically bring down your credit score. So in my case, actually, before I get to my case, let me say other things you can actually do to increase your credit report. So we have spoken to register to vote, breathe on your accounts, make sure that all your names and your accounts are synced, start paying off your debts. There's no way around it. And then the other two, you reduce utilization, never miss a payment. If you don't have the money to pay, call the bank or call the credit union. They are legally obliged to look as if they're able to help, as if they're trying to assist you. So then they will help you make a payment plan. Now, the other two things you can do to actually increase your credit score, if you are struggling, is actually two things, and they're both credit cards. And there's one called a credit builder card, and there's one called a balance transfer card. Now, if the reason why you're getting tanked is because you have a lot of debts that you can't really pay off, the smartest thing for you to do is actually, if you have a bad credit, which is actually counterintuitive, you will not get very long on a balance transfer card. A balance transfer card is a card that you basically can shift all your debts on a credit card you're paying interest onto a card that will give you a period of 0% where you don't have to pay an interest, but you pay a one-time fee. So if you imagine you have 25% on, let's say, a HSBC card, and you have 10k and it's 25% every month, instead you take the 10k, move that to, let's say, a random, let's say, Virgin balance transfer card, and they'll take the 10k, and then you just pay a 3% fee, which is what, £300, and so then you now, is it £300 or is it £30? £300. There we go, £300, and then basically you have £10,300 to pay off. But you have the duration of however long they give you. Now the counterintuitive part is that once you have a low credit score, it's actually hard to get the really good balance transfer cards, which is kind of counterintuitive because those are the people who need it the most. But if you can get a balance transfer card to shift the debt, obviously you have to understand you have to reduce the debt. That's fundamental. Now the other one is a credit builder card. Now a credit builder card is essentially a card which will typically give you a low credit limit, like £500 or something like that, but typically has horrendous interest, like 35%, 40%, something like that. But they are designed for people with low, bad, or no credit. And essentially, if you all you need to do with these cards is, if you get it, because of the higher interest and you're trying to build up your credit, it actually posts higher on your, it's weird. It's just you're taking, because there's more risk in it. Let's say there's more reward to some extent. So if you take any of those cards, spend no more than 10% of the credit utilization. So if it's £500, spend no more than £50, and then pay it off by the end of the month. Or or some people would say pay off 49, let a pound post to the statement, then clear off the statement balance of £1, just so that it posts that there's a balance that was taken over. But as long as you pay it off by the next balance, it won't carry over. But this depends on the card issuer, because so for some of them, even as you're using the card, even if you paid £100 and then paid off £100, they'll still post that you used £100, even though you paid in £100. Whereas some the card issuers, if you pay £100, if you use £100 and pay £100, they'll post zero and as nothing was used, so they may not even give you a statement. So if that's the kind of thing, then maybe post £1. But if not, just clear it off before the end of your statement date. Know your statement date and then clear it off. Now, in my situation, the reason why my credit score has tanked is because I've had a lot of multiple changes in my account. I've moved address. I've had multiple accounts added to my name, in the name of utilities, bills and whatnot. I've had a lot of activity. I've opened a new account and all this kind of thing in the space of the last 4 months. And so because there's been a lot of activity, a lot of hard searches to my name, it has brought my credit score down. And so I'm not going to obviously pay for any of those things, because that's ridiculous. My credit score's been low before, and it's been excellent before, and it'll be excellent again. So let's see how far we get by I said September, October, correct? Yes. So, but for you, making sure that you're diligent, if you're checking through your credit score, my TransUnion credit score, I went through it. I saw that not a lot of my accounts were added and all those kind of things. It wasn't correct name. Emailed them, got that all rectified, and then boom, that one's high. So TransUnion, beautiful. Equifax, we're teetering on beautiful. But Experian, which is the one that most people use and most people recognize as their credit score, is the one that I'm showing today that is very poor and most banks use. So for you, understanding that it's very poor, don't stress too much. The only reason why you want to be stressing right now, realistically, is if you are planning to do a big purchase in the next 8 months, or the next within the next, no, if you're applying for a home now, you're probably not going to get it, or you're going to get horrendous interest. Now, the only way to dramatically increase this now is, if you're an Experian, do one of the first things to do is link your bank accounts, your current accounts there, and see if you can get an Experian boost based on the regular expenditures you do, if you have direct debits coming out of your name and all that kind of stuff. Other things you can do is basically find a way to lump sum clear majority of the debt. If it gets a big one, then you can see that in the next month and a half, you will have a big increase. But that's the only real way for it to go. Now, your score is just a fraction of your credit score, of your credit report. And so what they really care about more so, especially if you're applying for a serious product like a mortgage, is actually the details of your credit report. Your credit score is just a reflection of the likelihood, but when you put into detail, that's the reason why when you do applications for mortgages. They'll ask you how much is your regular spend, who's committed, how much you pay for credit cards monthly, blah blah blah. So even these things might not necessarily hinder you, but if you can clear off a huge amount of the debt, and these banks will now look at you less risky if you're looking for something like a mortgage or a car loan or car finance or any of these things. But it's very important that you do get a handle on your credit score and try to reduce it and try to increase it as quick as possible. Obviously, once you get it to like good, fair, don't stress too much unless you're about to apply for something. But you want to be making sure that your credit score is pretty good about 8 months before you're trying to do any major purchases. And then once you do get there, all you have to do is being consistent. Pay on time, pay at least a minimum payment, pay minimum payment plus 10% in my opinion, because the minimum payment is designed just to pay the interest and a little bit of the balance. Make sure your accounts are under the same name and under the same address. The email address is kind of negligible. Register to vote. And if you are someone who's in university or you're moving a lot, register to vote in your, let's say, your parents' home, or leave that as constant as possible. So when I went to university, my home address in London was my address throughout. It's been my address for the last 20 or 25 years, and it's only now that I've actually changed it, hence why it really affected my credit score. So you want to show stability. You don't, if you're just changing, if you're renting, you're changing every month, don't register to vote and change every day. It's best for you to actually just, that time when it's time to vote, go home and say hi to mom and dad. It's blessed like that. Keep your utilization low. Under, in my opinion, I say under 10%, at the max under 30%. Please don't go over 50%. If you're doing 90%, then you already, that it's tough out here. But in the space of these things, if you're going to take more credit to deal with your credit, you have to understand that that's more credit. So I wouldn't necessarily advise on a loan or something like that unless you need the more time to pay it off or anything like that. But again, you have to be smart with your money to make sure that you don't put yourself back in this situation. So hopefully this little ramble has calmed your nerves. Having very poor, it's not the end of the world, especially if you've just gotten into understanding what your credit score is. But understanding that with time, diligence, consistency, and a little bit of grinding in terms of getting that money up to reduce your debts will actually help you do it. Now, obviously, if you can't get to balance transfers or any of those things, make sure you call your bank. Let them know you're struggling to pay. I know it's a tough phone call to do, but they will help you out, and you can do a payment plan. If it's only £50 a month, you can do. If it's only £20 a month, they can do. They will work with you. They may freeze your card, you might not be able to use it again, or they may they may not allow you to spend more on the card until you pay it off, or they might not give you another product in the thing, but then this won't destroy your credit score. It will show like an adjusted something on your credit score, but then that way you can just continue to keep up and not put yourself in financial strain, because that's what you don't want to do. And last but not least, the other reason why your credit score may have tanked is purely because you've had a county court judgment, or you had something with the law. And if you have something like that post to your account, it will drag it all the way down. So I imagine if you're in that case, it's not been a great time. But yeah, that stays on your account for like 6-7 years. There's not much you can do there in my knowledge, unless you get that overturned. Then you can now send a message to the credit reference agency, or if it's a mistake, then you can go and get that amended. But yeah, I hope you're having a lovely day. Remember to take care of yourself, your health, and your wealth. Continue to increase your knowledge, and don't forget to try to smile. So hope you have a blessed day. My name's been Ugo. This has been a long video. My credit score is at 454. Say in the comments, where do you think I'll get to by October? Where do you think? Let me know. And yeah, have a blessed day. I'll see you later, guys. Take care.